Good morning, students. Welcome to social study class. We are revising chapter 1 in history, the French Revolution. Today we will talk about map of France, triangular slave trade and abolition of slavery. Look at the map of France. First of all, Nantes, that is a seaport. Bordeaux, also a seaport. Both these ports were used for slave trade. Then Paris and Marseilles. Please learn all these places because you will be asked to mark and label these places in your exams. Triangular slave trade. What does it mean? Look at the map very carefully. You will find here some islands. These islands are known as the Caribbean islands. Most of these islands were the colonies of the European powers. And in these islands there were large farms known as states, and these farms were used to grow the commercial crops like tobacco, indigo, sugar and coffee. Out of these islands, there were 3 islands which were under the occupation of France. They were Martinique, Guadeloupe and Saint Domingo. So these colonies of France, they were the important supplier of these products. But the problem with the European countries was that none of the European wanted to go and settle down in these colonies and to work there. And this thing gave rise to slave trade. What the French merchants did, they sailed from Nantes and Bordeaux. About these ports we discussed in the previous slides. From this, they sailed to the African coast. In the African coast, there were some local chieftains. And these local chieftains used to sell the slaves or the black negroes to the French merchants. Means they used to purchase the black people from there. Then these black negroes were branded and shackled and they were pegged tightly into ships. Means they were tied in chains and maximum number of slaves which they could fit in any ship, they used to fit them. And then there was a 3-month long voyage. So means it took from here to here, it took 3 months. And then they used to reach here. There were slave markets. And in the slave markets, these slaves were sold. And then these merchants used to take the products like sugar, coffee, tobacco, indigo, etc. And then they used to come back to their home country. So in this way, they formed a triangle, and that's why we call it a triangular slave trade. How this triangular slave trade come to an end? That's what we call the abolition of slavery. The Constitution of 1791 provided rights to the citizens. But there were debates over it whether these rights should be extended to the people, also those who are living in the French colonies. The National Assembly wanted to pass the laws to free the slaves, but they could not do it because the slave trade was a profitable business and they did not want to make the businessmen and other merchants unhappy because their incomes depended on the slave trade. So the National Assembly did not take any action to free up the slaves. Then, in 1792, the convention was formed, and this convention in 1794 freed all the slaves. So the credit of freeing the slaves goes to the convention. But 10 years later, again the Napoleon Bonaparte came into power. He was a dictator and he again reintroduced slavery. Finally, slavery was abolished in the year 1848. We end up our session here only. Thank you and have a nice day.